that Cordoba had to deal with. Renekton ban is definitely not one of them that I thought I would see.
Maybe we're going to see a little bit more of Cordoba trying to go for the same kind of team comp where they rely very much on Draco in the back line. Maybe we may see an effective AP champion in the mid lane rather than going for the Camille. Maybe Camille be retired up into the Baron lane this time around for Cordoba. But yeah, I think the Renekton's probably the ban there is just to be clear that they don't want the champion to be available to focus and run down the anchoring one true carry on the side of Cordoba, because that's what effectively the Renekton was in game one. So they go for the Yone for first pick, so still leaving the Lee Sin open. They ban out their own Nautilus for the lols, it seems, on the side of on the side of 4JV. It's like, oh, you want to ban support? We can ban support too. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I've got you. You can keep another ban for yourself. But they do pick up the Lee Sin prio pick again on the side of 4JV, and why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I think them banning out Nautilus is just that they don't want that first pick to go over to Cordoba. I think that in anyone's hand, Nautilus is such a strong support pick, one of the best supports out there at the moment in terms of tankiness, CC, and just playmaking potential. And speaking of playmaking potentials, both Lee Sin and Akali picked up here. There's a lot of engage already. The Ornn is going to be the pickup again for Wexit. Again, I don't feel like he had a bad game in the previous one. He still had a lot of plays to be made, and he also still did pretty well down in the bot lane. And Ziggs has been hovered around a little bit. Hasn't really been played at all, but it's going to be picked up in this game. I'm curious to see if that Ziggs is going to go down to the bot lane or even the mid lane. There is still so many opportunities here for Cordoba to flex these picks around.
Yep, so they ban out the Renekton, but it could be that 4JV pick up the Camille themselves. So there is their Baron lane pretty much solidified there with that long-legged lady of the Camille, and obviously the Akali as well. So having that mid lane assassin as for 4JV, which is just going to be a massive, aggressive team comp once again coming from the side of 4JV. Because we have the instant lockdown of Camille, we have Akali and Lee Sin who can just pretty much fly all over the screen and will have us guessing who they've taken down and dealt damage to. But I'm really excited to see the Ziggs come through, potentially going to be the APC or even mid lane here, and Yone could pretty much flex either into Baron lane, jungle, or the mid lane, but I've got a strange feeling it could be Jemmy's pickup in the jungle.
Could very well be. We'll have to wait and see. More bans towards Heste, the Galio being banned out. Do you ban out the set? You do. I mean, you don't. I guess you don't want to deal with the set like he was able to deal with in the last game. Heste with his plays. I mean, I'm sure he'll come up with another champion anyway. Be interesting to see if they want to pick it now or if they wait until last pick. It looks like they want to wait for Heste to get that last pick up here. So Azim is going to pick up his AD carry of choice. Heads up close in the last game, was really good in that last team fight with the engage. Zeri is going to be the option this time around.
So picking a few little leaps up from Cordoba's playbook there. And I mean, two of these champions were fantastic because the Zeri and the Camille, both on Cordoba's side, was brilliant. We saw quite a few playmakes come through with both of these champions. So I feel like the Zeri, taking that away from Cordoba, just gives them less of a opportunity to pick up the Zeri once again, because Draco played brilliantly on them. And we see the Gragas come through. So again, they're not quite sure where this Yone is sitting just yet, because Gragas, once again, could be flexed into support, flex mid, flex jungle, but now it's all kind of just shaping up here, and we're going to get the Lilia in jungle. So we alluded to it in the pre-game 2 that Lilia wasn't getting picked up or banned in game 1, and she gets picked up in game 2 for Cordoba.
Very interesting. I feel like it's probably going to be Yone mid, I would assume. Gragas top, Lilia jungle, but again, that can still be flexed around and can still be played in other lanes, which means that Ziggs is going to play in that APC role. We've been kind of hyping up this Lilia for quite some time, kind of same as Viego in a way. Again, Lilia got a really big buff, I believe last patch, if not the patch before, both to her first ability and also her second ability, the base damage and also the AP numbers going up as well. One of the best junglers to play right now in the game, and we're going to be seeing it here in the grand final of the Rift Legends battle. Again, if 4J1V win this game, they book their tickets to next week's final as well, which is the ultimate one with a huge prize pool of 5,000, and also they get the bragging rights today as well. They're like, hey, France are the best country in EMEA and no one can say anything different. I think that's the main thing that these players run. They're not too bothered about qualifying for next weekend. They're not too bothered about getting a prize pool next weekend. They just want the bragging rights. They just want to be known as the best team and the best country in EMEA.
I mean, who doesn't want that? I mean, having a representative for your country seems pretty amazing. And for those that are representing France and Spain right now are doing themselves very proud, and their country is very proud within the Wild Rift community again. But yeah, we saw that Braum pick at the end. So again, that was something we thought about in game 1, and it comes into fruition in game 2. But just looking at the side of Cordoba, there is plenty of AP on their side now. We got the Gragas in the mid lane, we got Ziggs as well, and we have the Lilia. So what was lacking in game 1 was the lack of AP. It's pretty much now over dominating the team comp, but I feel like having this Ornn, Gragas, but also having the Yone as well. So Yone gonna be able to sort of like get in and out of these team fights. It's kind of trying to pick off the likes of the Zeri and the Akali that should be at a safe distance. But with Yone, you don't know where that distance is going to be safe, because he can pretty much traverse very far and pretty much in your face and get a double knockup from the Ornn as well. So not only get the Ornn knockup, we get the knockup from Yone's ultimate. But I'm just really interested to see how this Lilia comes in and fits in this Cordoba lineup.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, going back to your point about the AP damage, there's definitely going to be a lot of magic resist being built for the side of 4J1V this game. Like Zeri is probably going to go for something like Hex Drinker. Even Lee Sin and Camille as well need a lot of magic resist. Braum as well. We're probably going to be seeing a lot of Mercury treads this game, as there's not really a lot of AD damage at all. The only champion really doing AD damage is Yone. I mean, after the Yone, I mean, even Yone from time to time does deal a little bit of AP damage as well. But Yone being the main AD damage source is definitely going to be really interesting. But a lot of AP damage means there's going to be a lot of magic resist being built, and having that one source of damage is definitely a downside here, in my opinion, for Cordoba.
Yeah, it's going to be seeing how they utilize it, I guess. I mean, we might see quite a few Mercury treads come through on the side of 4JV, just like, was it Vapo in the match 1? So series... In the last series, Vapo went complete plated steel cap, so we're going to see a complete set of Mercury treads. Probably not, but it'd be funny to see that anyway, just to sort of give a little homage to Vapo. But I can kind of see that Zeri's going to stick very much similar to the build that we saw on Draco with the Gluttonous Greaves. Bloodthirst, the first item, so she has the sustain. We could see Wit's End being put into her build as well, just for some magic resistance. But like you say, I think there'll be quite a bit of magic resistance coming from the likes of Braum, but we've also got Braum to try and block a lot of these projectiles from the likes of Ziggs, and obviously Lilia's ability as well that she can throw about sometimes. But it's going to be really interesting to see how they definitely play this time around on Cordoba, because they've got to now compete with the knockup of Braum, and also obviously he's passive, being with the stun as well, making sure that he can land those 3 procs of Braum's passive. But again, Baloo's on this Lee Sin was a monster in game 1. I can imagine it's just going to be just as strong in game 2.
Yeah, we're going to be jumping into game soon to see if Spain can bounce back in this game, or if France can take home another 2-0. It would be a little bit unfortunate that every single one of our games in the last 2 days are all 2-0s, to be honest. It would have been better if there were some 2-1s involved. But I mean, even if they are 2-0, they have been some very close games on both sides, you know, especially in game number 1 that we saw in this game. Such a close battle that really came down to the micro play. The gold lead was basically non-existent at the late game stage, and it does sound like we are going into the game. And here we go, game number 2 here between Spain and France. Cordoba versus 4J1V. One more game away now for France to be crowned the kings of EMEA.
Absolutely. We see that it's only a small distance for France, but it's a long distance for Team Spain here. If they can manage to pick a game, a point up from Team France, that would then take it to a full best of 3. We've already seen that 4JV did give over a round to Subsidiary, and arguably I would say that as well as Subsidiary played yesterday, I felt like Cordoba would probably take my favoring on how these two teams played. Cordoba was definitely more calculated with their plays and their playability as well, with obviously Wexic on one of his signature champion picks, the Orn. So if Subsidiary could do it, surely Cordoba can do it.
Have to wait and see here. There's a bit of an invade actually going into the early game this time around, but I don't think there's no one on Cordoba that can really do much about it. Baluz just steals away the blue buff from Lilia, and this is such a big buff for Lilia as well in the early game. This champion is super mana hungry. You can see the Lee Sin invading into the jungle as well. There's a fight in bot lane as well. Azim takes Draco so low on health. Azim is waiting for the W to come up, waiting for the second ability to come up, waiting for that snipe onto the Ziggs. You see, the snipe comes in the end. Azim 1-0 for France in the bot lane. That's a huge 1v1 kill there, and puts Azim in prime lead here in this bot side.
There was just so much room for error with that snipe, and Azim just got it literally bob onto Ziggs, and Lord knows how small Ziggs' hitbox is, but with him being a yordle and whatnot. But that was fantastically played down there in the Dragon Lane for Team France. 4JV should be happy that they've got Azim on the team. Just knowing that they can get those snipes off was fantastic. But yeah, like you were saying, that the Lilia is a little bit of a non-starter in the early game because, again, not having that blue buff is going to be a detriment to Jemmy, because obviously very mana-taxing champion. But obviously also with the cooldown reductions as well is also going to help with Lilia in that early game. So trying to cut off those factors that are going to enable her to be just as strong as we thought she would going into this game too. We see a bit of a dive here into the mid lane. Jemmy going straight into the back of it there onto the Braum and the Akali, but seems to back out when we see the sight of Baluz, because why would you not? The monster from game 1 is here, and Wexic could be falling victim to Baluz there, but manages to actually dash out alive, rotate in to try and basically group up with the Ziggs in the bot lane. But is that going to be enough? We have the Gragas here as well. I'm not too sure what 4JV can do to play around this. They're going to definitely try and turn this into something here, because they always do it. What seems like could be a pincer move from Cordoba, they just don't seem to have the confidence to do it onto 4JV. And here is a 3v1, but nice barrel knockback by Blaster there from the Gragas, but it's just not enough. Akali getting that last hit onto the Gragas as well, so picking up that second kill for Team France.
Where is the communication here for Cordoba? Like, where is the communication for Cordoba? Like, they should know. Like, Blaster should know that everyone was in the bot side of the map and they were going to rotate into mid, but Blaster just stepped up way too far. Azim is going to die here, though. As always, he gets a trade kill back. Gets 2 kills back, actually, in the end. It's a 1-for-2 trade, and a tower dive went horribly wrong here for Cordoba. But going back to that mid lane play, Blaster should know that the whole of 4J1V are in that bot side of the jungle. And he steps up way too far with no flash, nothing to save him, and it's just a free kill. And the bot lane dive goes tragic as well, and it's not the early game that they were really looking for in this one.
Yeah, if there's anything we know about 4JV compared to Godaba is that they can have a clean, confident early game, and they are definitely showing it in every facet on the side of Team France here. Currently 4 kills to 1. Only 800 gold ahead, not even that now. So again, I feel like that's the thing that needs to separate Team France from Team Spain. It's just making sure that farms up. We see that Jemmy is already starting the Ice Dragon, whilst we see Baloo's go for the Rift Herald. So they're not looking for a team fight around the Rift Herald. They want to look for a secure jungle objective. And to be honest, that Ice Dragon is looking like where that secure objective is going to be, because if we know anything about Team France, it's they love that Rift Herald and they secure it again.
And Rift Herald always being a priority for these teams. The Dragon is going to go in the hands of Cordoba, and that means that they can try and get the Dragon Soul in the end. Looks like Lydia has been able to actually climb back in terms of that gold, that early deficit of losing the blue buff and having to go back to base early. It does seem like the Lydia is able to farm up enough and get enough gold to actually complete the first item as well. Leandri's Torment being completed here. You're against quite a few tanks as well, which is going to mean quite a lot for Leandri's Torment. And the game's kind of slowed down a little bit. There's only a 1,000 gold lead now. What looked like a really bad early game here for Cordoba. God, that game name is so difficult. Means that maybe it's now turned into the other favor here as the Rift Herald goes in, and for some reason Wexit was like, yeah, this is my time to go in, and just steps way too far. But explosive cast from Gragas. Really strong explosive cast there to knock a member back into the team, and it actually just turns into 1-for-1 trade. So again, it looks like on the map and it looks like in the game that France are getting these advantages, but somehow Spain are just just able to bring it back and make it even every single time, keeping them in the game.
Yeah, Blaster's got that pay-to-win skin, clearly, with the Chroma Crash Cracker skin. What an amazing ultimate there from Blaster in that mid lane. Even though he didn't manage to keep that mid lane turret up and running in that the first tier turret, that was that 4JV was able to pick up, but they still managed to sort of keep away any more loss of life on the side of Cordoba, which I think is ultimately a better objective there. Currently now they have to play this a little bit more careful. They don't want to sort of lose any more lives over to 4JV, because we saw Wexic literally just charge in that last little team fight, like wondering like what was going on there. He thought in his moment he thought he was going to have his 8-mile moment, but it was more like a 1.5 mile on the M5, just driving very slowly and then just dying somehow, boredom in traffic jam. And on the side of 4JV there, they do manage to pick up a few more bits and bobs in terms of the farm, so keeping that gold well ahead for themselves. Not too glorious, but it is something to still hold dear to them and keep running away with that gold lead as well, because more gold means more items, and we may be seeing a potential assault here onto the Baron lane turret, but then we see that Yone got caught out there with a Hextech ultimatum. Yone weak at the knees from Camille's ultimate, which was another takedown for Team France.
I thought Zeri was completely caught out there. Really nice knock up again by Wexic to actually stop the dash away from Zeri to get away to safety. And I thought with the Yone knock up and with everything in between as well, they were going to do enough damage. But unfortunately, there was not enough damage, and the backup was there for Azim on the Zeri. And they were able to turn it around and get the kill instead. Again, we're at a super close point during this game. Everyone has completed their first item. We're now looking towards the second items as well. Looking at the goal difference across the map, though, the bot lane and the mid lane are the two lanes at the moment that have a big goal difference. The Zeri compared to the Ziggs, and the Gragas to the Akali. So we have to keep our eyes out on Isma and on Azim in this game and in this important next team fight that's coming up towards this dragon.
Yeah, we can slowly start to see some of the magic resistance being built here on the side of 4JV, but less about that. Beluzi was looking for a kill onto a Blaster with the help of Akali as well in between the turrets, but we're getting a Baron lane batch up here. We see that Camille goes in with a Hextech ultimatum, but it's not going to be enough. The Orn Hulk comes through, knocks up the Braum, enabling the Lilia to pick up the first kill for herself in game number 2, so that Leandre is playing dividends there as well. And what was going on down in that bot lane?
Yeah, the bot lane went dead. It looks like the bot lane tower went down. The junglers are now coming back up, and that means that you have first strike here for France on this objective in the bot side. A really nice snipe onto the Zeri to just get a kill back. It was a 2-for-1 trade from Spain, so a really good trade in this top side to try and take control over the tower, taking the tower in the end as well. But again, it's just trades happening back and forth. There's no real big advantage for these two teams. It looks like one team's getting ahead, but then one kill comes back. Another team's getting ahead, and then one kill comes back in the end. And it's just so close. And it really just comes down to these team fights, how well these teams can execute during these team fights, and how well that they can carry as well. But another kill onto the Zeri. Look at the carry onto the Zeri. 5-1-1 in this game. 2 items completed, the Bloodthirster and the Essence Reaver. Essence Reaver being a very interesting choice, but deciding to maybe try and get a little bit more mana, as these team fights are going to be lasting a long time, and also just going to be getting a little bit more damage on these abilities as well. So nothing happening just yet. With no objectives up, no real towers to take either for either of these two teams. We're just going to go back to a farm state for now.
Yes, it is the farming simulator that we all know and love in these competitive games, just whilst we wait for the next storm to be brewing. But like you were saying, the Zeri has a fantastic gold lead down there against the Ziggs. Zeri as it is the only champion to be at that double-digit K figure, that 10.1K gold, and has currently built the Bloodthirster, the Essence Reaver as well. And we didn't see Draco kind of activate on the Zeri in game 1 till quite early, but yes, something is going on in the bot lane there with the Camille onto the Yone again, but lose back with the big engage status, saving his life from that Ziggs ultimate there, and he doesn't manage to get away because of those the first strike from Ziggs' attack just managed to just clip out and finish the Lee Sin there. So it wasn't quite the clean escape that Beluzi was hoping for. And a flash over the wall from Gragas, an explosive casket coming through as well, splitting apart and bringing Hestes to the whole team, giving Draco that kill onto the set as well. Is this the comeback that Cordoba needed? But they do lose that first tier turret in the Clash lane, Baron lane, sorry, ODLE.
Oh, wow. I mean, again, it's just so close between these two teams. It's just, again, both these teams are playing tooth and nail at the moment between both of them. Again, you feel like France have an advantage in the bot side, getting the kill onto the Yone, and then the Lee Sin gets traded back, and then such a clever flash over the wall by Blaster meant that he was able to separate the rest of that team and get that isolated kill there onto Hestes. So it turns out a 2-for-1 trade in the end for Team Spain. And now they have 2 items completed on this Gragas. I think this Gragas is going to be such a huge playmaker in this game. Of course, the Ornn as well. Again, another great performance here from Wezik. But for now, it seems like Team France wants to try and posture around this Baron buff and try and clear vision. Maybe try and get a pick as well. But you can see that there is vision inside the bush. So Ornn knows that they're all there waiting for him in his path.
Yeah, even though after that big calamity there between the two teams, and especially going into the favor of Cordoba, we don't actually see much of a goal difference. Obviously, it's now sort of trying to be renegade and evened out there, as they are both on 46k, but it is slowly just in the favor of Team France currently, but it's nothing too big to run away with and write home saying, woohoo, we got like 400 gold difference from our enemy team. So I feel like if 4JV don't do anything in this next team fight, they could be at a detriment in that gold lead. With the Infernal Drake coming up in 40 seconds, is that where this next team fight is going to be placed around? And neither of these teams are going to be able to acquire the Dragon Soul because they are currently 1 apiece with the Dragons, currently 3 apiece with the turrets as well. So very even mid-game currently, but this is where we start to see 4JV start to have a little bit of a lull, but then they start to come back in the later game. I don't know if you noticed that last game, Stu, but I think that's kind of what we're kind of seeing here, is that they're kind of allowing Cordoba to get a foot in, only to slam the door on their foot that's try to get in.
Exactly that. They're going to push the button, and I feel like they're going to push the button soon as well. This next dragon is up, as you mentioned, not really an important dragon for both of these two teams because nothing is really going to come of it. One big item to notice, though, the Maw of Malmortius is completed here for Azim. That magic damage, that's so much magic damage on the side of Team Spain, the Lilia, the Gragas, the Ziggs as well. This Maw of Malmortius is going to do so much work here, and you can see that both these teams are just playing so defensively. The mid lane priority, though, is over to Team Spain, and that will give them a little bit of dragon priority as well. The Ziggs Infernal Bomb does completely miss. The dash goes in from the Yone as well, so a few abilities just being traded back and forth here, but no real engage has happened yet. We're really waiting for that Ornn ultimate from Wexix for this fight to start. And now around the dragon, you can see the Heste is so close, and the flank's trying to come in from the Akali as well, but the engage is really going to go in here. The stasis comes out here. Azim is still completely untouched onto the backline, and that's exactly what Team France want here. Akali trying to dash into the backline. The Sonic Wave from the Lee Sin, and the double kill for Akali, the triple kill in the end as well. And again, it comes to one fight. That's all it takes, is one fight, and France just turn the button, they turn the switch, they put on the fuse, and they dominate Spain again in such a crucial fight. And this could be the game, Blam.
Yeah, but they definitely pressed the nuclear button there as 4JV Team France goes nuclear as they aggress the crystal in this one, the Nexus, sorry, in this game 2, taking it to 2-0. And in true Blam fashion of his ignorance of the French language, nil point for Cordoba in this whole tournament.
Incredible game, an incredible series as well. Again, even though we do see another 2-0, it was incredibly close between these two sides. You can tell that it just came down to that one last team fight. The positioning there, you know, Exa was able to go over the wall, get the ultimate down, and just single target out everyone on the side of Cordoba, and then it was just Zeri on the backline. The Akali as well, Isma dashing in onto the backline with the Lee Sin, just has so much isolation damage in the end. And all the Mercury treads, hey, they did pretty good in the end, to be honest with you. They did absolutely great. I mean, taking that reduced magic damage against such a heavy ability power composition was so important.
Yeah, it's the only problem when you try and focus like one avenue of damage, because let's face it, the Wexic on the Ornn is not going to do a lot of damage. Obviously has a lot of utility in those team fights, but then you have obviously the likes of the Yone that does majoritively attack damage, but can apply a little bit of magic damage as well with that champion. But when you've got 3